These two concessionaires sought to pass on to the consumers by increasing rates to cover corporate expenses such as donations, travel expenses, sports expenses, legal and arbitration fees, and corporate income taxes. Gastos nila, taong bayan ang magbabayad. Through this same agency treatment, these companies have abused the system even further, determining that the maximum 12% limit rate of return imposed on public utilities do not apply to them as they are mere agents. No wonder skyrocket na po ang kinikita nila. Ito pong resolusyon na hawak ko, Resolution number 04006-CA na inissue ng Regulatory Office ng MWSS, ang tanging papel na nagsasabi na hindi sila public utility. Sinasabi nila sila ay mere agents. Kagagawan lang po ito ng isang technical working group na sila-sila rin ang komposisyon nito. Kaya kayang-kaya po nating i-insist at i-demand na sila ay public utility company. This alone is a preposterous disservice to the country. However, as they often say on TV shopping shows, but wait, there's more. The government has bent over backwards in favor of these companies. The so-called innovation of the MWSS Regulatory Office in its interpretation of the concession agreement allowed the concessionaires to collect fees via the water tariff capital investment plans and programs that have not yet been implemented or for those that have already been abandoned. They were allowed to bill consumers for $100 million and the Angat water reliability for 5.4 billion pesos and the earthquake contingency project for 4.130 billion pesos. For these 6 projects alone, a total yet to be fully implemented. To name only a few, the Wawa Dam, which is a 732 million project, the Laguna Lake project, which is a 100 million project, the Laiban Dam Project, which is a 56.262 billion pesos, have been billed in advance from the Filipino people. I ask, where are these projects today? Why is it that the benefits from these haven't been felt by the Filipino people? How is it that this year alone, our own people suffered from massive systematic water shortage that disrupted the national capital region? Let's recap, shall we? These companies charge to the consumers various business expenses and have the people prepay for projects, some of which are already abandoned or yet to be fully implemented. And they want the government to pay 10 billion pesos through their arbitration. Have they performed their duties and responsibilities from the concession agreements they consider sacred? I use this term lightly, as they themselves do not seem to respect the concession agreements they anchor their claims on. The very agreements themselves all point to the fact that they are public utilities, and the only semblance of any agency is to allow them to be empowered agents of the MWSS to apply for the exercise of governmental functions such as easement, eminent domain, and right of way. Existing law, jurisprudence, and overall basic common sense all point to the conclusion that water distribution and provision of sewerage services to the general public granted by the concession from MWSS as the original public utility from its legislative charter. So the MWSS is a public utility, and it enters into a concession agreement to the two companies. And all of a sudden, they aren't public utilities themselves. But let's focus on the other issues from now. After all, they want government to uphold their concession agreements. What has happened to the requirement of the very same concession agreements for these companies to provide proper sewerage and sanitation systems? Where are the international standard piping systems that they are supposed to have created? Ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues, these concessionaires, these companies are still using the drainage systems of the DPWH. These drains are ill-suited for sewerage and sanitation, and once the annual rains come, sewage is included in the floodwaters, increasing the spread of diseases such as leptospirosis, dengue, dysentery, among others, as well as causing the spread of toxic elements that are hazardous to the public. When we experience services that we are not satisfied with, what do? As consumers, we can choose not to patronize these establishments. Pag hindi tayo masasaya sa serbisyo, anong ginagawa natin? Even with more than a decade to go, under their current agreements, the MWSS did the unthinkable. In 2014, it extended these agreements by an additional 15 years to expire in 2037. So again, let us recap. We pay for their corporate income taxes and other business expenses, advance for projects that are non-existent or abandoned, look the other way when they failed to provide sewerage and sanitation systems, and extend their contracts even though the expiry is so far away? Are we going to stand by and allow this massive duping of the Filipino people? Beware the fury of a patient man, as John Dryden says. In this case, beware that of a patient woman. These onerous contracts have been the subject of my own research and numerous calls for investigation close to a decade ago. I am truly thankful that today, President Duterte himself has seen this issue and has not only pledged to act accordingly, but will hold these companies accountable. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for acknowledging that these widespread actions can no longer be tolerated. Now I call on my fellow legislators here in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. Let us expose these actions for what they are: a widespread swindling of the Filipino people and its government. Let us all unite and act for the benefit of our people, our constituents, who elected us to serve. Allow me to leave you with these words of Anatole France: justice is the means by which established injustices are sanctioned. I repeat, justice is the means by which established injustices are sanctioned. Let us all act to correct these injustices of the past once and for all. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. That first opportunity was on September 2011, and I here stand years later asking the same thing. Let us all act. And this is my call to action to my colleagues. Marami pong salamat, and may God continue to bless the Philippines and the Filipino people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.